Hey guys, I'm Jamie. I have my own farm, which is Big Oaks Little Farm, but I also work with Hope for Small Farm Sustainability at our Kaufman Garden in Kaufman, Texas at the Kaufman County Poor Farm. And I'm making this video for the gardeners there that aren't always here at the same time as me to do a little bit of education on tomato plants. So hopefully I'll be able to adequately do that for you so that you can do this on your own. And anyone else who happens to see this, I hope it's helpful for you as well. So first, we're kind of pretty much past the point of planting at the moment. Some people are still putting some things in, but one thing that I like to do when I plant tomatoes is drop an egg in the hole. Because as the egg breaks down slowly, the calcium feeds the tomato. I do that also for squash plants, various different things, because it helps with blossom bottom rot. That's generally a calcium deficiency. So I put an egg in the hole of most plants because it's just good for them. It also attracts worms and stuff down there, so that's great. The soil here at the Kaufman County Poor Farm has proven to be pretty amazing. We've already gotten a lot of produce. But another thing about tomatoes, when you're planting them, they like deep roots. So plant them deep. Even if you have a plant that has kind of bent, you can dig a hole sideways and plant it that way. But more of the stem that can be underground, the better, because then it will have more roots. But now we're to the point where we need to prune. So a couple of things. One, there are two types of tomatoes. You have indeterminate and determinate varieties. I have found most that I have planted have been indeterminate, but you do need to check because you kind of treat them differently. With determinate tomatoes, you won't want to pull off what I'm going to call the suckers. I'll show you in a minute. I call them that because my granddad always called them that. But it's basically the part of the plant that can make a new tomato plant. But on indeterminate tomatoes, you can pull those off and make lots of more tomato plants. On determinate ones, you just don't want to do that because it only has a determined amount that it is going to grow. Indeterminate tomatoes will be taller than I am. So how you know where that is, I'm hoping that I can show you on this plant here. I may have to zoom in to show you, but as you have your one main stem that comes up, and then there's a leaf that comes off of it. In what I call the elbow, in the little elbow of that plant, this that is coming up, I could pull that off and root it, and it will make a whole new tomato plant. Now, this is a San Marzano tomato, which is one of the few determinate varieties that I plant, so I'm not going to do that. Probably on this one, I'm just going to keep trellising it. But on other varieties, I would do that. And then I end up with more tomato plants. That's actually how I end up with my fall garden if I have new tomato plants. Usually, here with our climate, if you can keep it alive all summer, it'll make more tomatoes in the fall. But I do plant new tomatoes literally all summer. I just pull these off and plant new ones. And then I do end up with green tomatoes when the frost comes. And I'll cover them up for a while until I get tired of covering them up, and then I'll just make salsa verde. But the other thing about tomatoes is that they don't like wet feet, they don't like wet leaves. They need a lot of good airflow, and as you can see here, there is not a lot of good airflow here. So what I'm going to do is kind of selectively prune it. When I find where I put my pruners, here they are. So like I said, on this one, it's a San Marzano, so I don't really want to pull off anything that is going to produce tomatoes. But on this, like I was showing, the leaf branch comes off and then the plant comes up. This leaf branch is not going to produce tomatoes, so I could cut it off. Now I won't cut all of them off because they do need some leaves for photosynthesis, obviously. But I'm going to kind of selectively prune because down here, if you can see, there is not a lot of area for wind to blow through there and dry off the leaves. So I'm just being careful to make sure I'm not cutting anything off that has little blooms like this. Just very carefully paying attention to what I'm cutting. but I'm gonna cut off quite a bit in order to help there be more airflow through here. And then the thing I said about tomatoes not liking wet feet. Tomatoes are one of the most susceptible plants for diseases and mildew and things like that if they're too wet all the time. So one thing that I do is always, like at these, you can see I've got straw bedding down here. You can use wood chips, whatever, but things to help prevent mud from splashing up on the tomato. But also, I will trim, let me show you one over here. You can see where the base is. I will trim off anything within probably the first foot. As you see, this one, you know, it rains last night. It's got a lot of dirt on it despite the straw down here. So I'm trying to keep things from touching the ground. We'll put this one. Ooh, this basil smells so good. Every time I touch it, I can smell it. Like this leaf here is hanging all the way down to the ground. We're gonna chop it. Just to where there's plenty of room for air to flow through here and keep the base of this plant dry after it rains. And then all of this I'm going to take home and feed to my pigs because they love it. Pigs are not picky eaters, so that's not saying much that they love it. But the one other thing I wanted to tell you about tomatoes is when to pick them. There's science behind this, and if you really want to know it, ask me sometime. But tomatoes are best if you pick them in the afternoon or evening because of the heat. That's when they're going to be tastiest. Long story as to why, that I'm trying to keep this video short, so I won't put it in here. But yeah, that is how I'll do some more pruning out of this one, and then I will do a quick shot of what it looks like at the end of this video. Hopefully that gives you all the info you need to know on tomatoes right now. Good luck! Alright, so here is a shot of what this tomato plant looks like all pruned. And here's a shot of the work I have cut out for me. But the garden is looking great, guys.